All right, welcome to day 4 of the goal and soul alignment. I appreciate you all for hanging in here for this long. We are just going to do a little recap because by this time you should have quite a bit accomplished. So we started off on Monday. Yeah, we're just going to jump into it, y'all. We started off on Monday with our assessment. So we went through a few things. We talk about the head versus heart, so you can get a good foundation as to where we're going with this. We did our assessment to figure out how satisfied we are with areas of our life and where we could use some improvement. I took you through a visualization around releasing the negative energies around whatever that lowest area was. And hopefully you got some relief from that. If not, please contact me and let's see what we can do to let you have some kind of effect from that. So if that activity didn't work for you, that visualization didn't work, then please reach out to me, because it's very important that you start to release those negative feelings around whatever it is. So we talked about that. We talked about yesterday, we talked about the different hurdles. The different hurdles that will keep you from, like they say, living your best life. And they are things that have come up before, and for whatever reason they stopped you, and you weren't able to move beyond that, or not as strongly as you were before. So we talked about how our family of origin can influence how we think and feel and believe, our internal belief system. They can really be drivers in that. We talked about how everything we believe is not necessarily true. It might be true for you at a particular time, but it doesn't have to be true always. We talked about fear, and we talked about limitations, and all that kind of went together for us to try to unpack some of the things that were keeping us stuck and not in motion when it comes to our goals, right? So all of this work is just to start moving around those internal factors. So we know that all of our patterns, we have patterns that we repeat over and over again, and it's hard to break them. Sometimes we can do that with willpower, but willpower doesn't always last that long. The most effective way to treat those habits are to get to the core of what is actually causing them in the first place, learning why you do a thing. So that's what this is about. So hopefully through the course of this, you've been able to kind of dig a little deeper in yourself, about yourself, and figure out, oh, maybe that's why I do that. When you look back at, what's going on in your life, when you look at different things, you can start to figure out that maybe some of these things some of these beliefs aren't serving me anymore, and they're not beneficial to where I want to go in the future. They were fine for getting me here, but they're not going to be okay for getting me past this point. So if you're there, that's a great place to be. If not, then again, reach out to me and let's see what we can do to get you moving. Now, we have talked about, we've done a few homework assignments, and now we are on day 4. And let me get that slide up. That's it. Let me do screen share. Forget to do screen share. Just go to it on my phone, on my computer. Where is she? So let's see if that does it. Let's see what you see. If you see what I want you to see. There we go. So today we are on Write It. So I know there are 2 things up there, and I probably should have separated this into 2 different slides. But today we're going to talk about writing things out. So now that you've done a little work, a little internal work, and let me just say this, what we're doing here today is just the start of it, right? That's why I only had you work on one thing. It's just the start of it. You have spent years, 40, 20, 30 years developing you to this point. So just this one 5-day session may not be enough to, it will not be enough to change everything in your life, right? But it can be a good start. It can be a good start, some extra tools in your toolbox to help you to get unstuck or to grow in certain areas that you have just found that you've been stagnant in, right? So I haven't talked a lot about it, but those of you who've had some sort of dysfunction in your family, some type of childhood trauma, you have grown to learn things that may not have been it's not universally true, right? So I oftentimes tell a story about growing up in a home where there was domestic violence and believing that all arguments had to lead to a fight, a physical fight. So I had not seen an example of a conversation, not even a civil disagreement that did not end up in a fight. So I had no clue how to just have a disagreement with anyone intimately. Now I could do it all day in school or at work or whatever, but in those intimate settings, that was, and no one told me to believe that. No one said that. That's just what I saw. So that's the sort of thing I'm getting at. We have to unlearn those things. We have to unlearn those beliefs because those are not true. You can't have conversations. You can't have disagreements with people without getting hostile, without getting physical. You can talk just like we're talking right now, right? So those are the sort of things that I want you to be thinking about as you are trying to figure out what you want to do, how you want to do it, and your next steps, and understand how those things may have limited you, right? Because those things, that belief, stop me from getting into relationships long term. So how are your beliefs affecting you? How are your habits affected by something in your past, right? You have these habits that you continue to repeat over and over. Where did those come from? Okay. So tonight we are going to write it. Write it is taking that lowest score, the area of lowest score, or the area that is causing you the most anxiety or angst or concern, right? That one area that if you can get that together, that would make such a big impact on your life, right? So whatever that is, we're going to ask this question again because I want you to write it out. I want this right here needs to be written out. What are you pretending not to know? What are you pretending not to know? What are you ignoring about this? Why is this score so low? I mean, are you pretending that you can't go look for a job? Are you pretending that you don't have the education needed? You don't have the knowledge needed to do something? Do you feel, or are you pretending that certain things have to be done in order for you to do something else? Are you pretending that you have to be perfect in order for you to start, right? What are you pretending not to know about that situation? Because I can bet that there is something that you can do. There is one small thing that you can do and do it over and over again to start to make some headway. The next question I want you to answer, and actually let me give you time because I want you to write it out. So I'm going to take a sip of my coffee here because I was a little tired today. So what are you pretending not to know in order to keep yourself at that situation or at that level of dissatisfaction in that area. Okay. The next question is, you know where you are right now. What thing can you do? So if your answer, your score was a 2, what can you do to make it a 3? And we're not saying make it a 10. You're taking small steps to move forward. So what can you do to make it a 3? So let's say, for example, one of your goals is to save money, and you're someone who eats out every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So one thing you can do is you can maybe fix your meal, fix one of those meals. So maybe you start with breakfast. So breakfast, you're not gonna go out and buy something every day. You may make a decision that you're gonna go to the grocery store and you may buy you some frozen breakfast sandwiches or something. And that's what you're gonna do for breakfast. And the money that you would generally spend for that, you will put that away. So if you would generally spend $5 for breakfast at, I don't know, McDonald's, Burger King, whatever those places are, if you're going to stop that, then you go and buy the bulk item. You give yourself time in the morning. You prepare that, whatever that meal is, and you avoid spending that extra money at the restaurant, right? So if you're not going to do that, then choose a day that you're not going to eat out at all, and you're going to pocket that money. So things like that. So I want you to decide what you're going to do, when you're going to start, and how often you're going to do it. So with the example I just gave you, you are going to, let's say we're just going to have a one day where we do not eat out. So we're going to choose what day that is and when we're going to start. So starting next week, Monday, I will not purchase any restaurant food, right? And I will do that for the next 30 days or the next however many days, right? So that way you have something to gauge. You have something to measure. So you know if you did not do it, that you missed Monday, or if you only ate out for one meal, then that's something that you can measure. You can say, okay, slipped up on one meal, but I can come back and I can try it again next Monday, and try to do the whole day, right? And the key to all of this is preparation and giving yourself grace. Like, don't give yourself like all the excuses in the world not to do something, but understand that when you are changing things, then when you're changing things, it takes some time. It's not that easy to do, right? So just give yourself that grace. Now, if money is your thing, okay, so we're going to talk about this tomorrow. We'll talk about that part tomorrow. It's about to go into something else. But I want you to at least start there. Are you writing it up? So start there with writing it out. And if you want extra accountability for that, you know what you can do? You can tell someone who is not afraid to call you on the carpet and say, hey, I thought you were doing so and so. I thought you were trying to save money. I thought you were trying to eat healthier. You know who is good for that? If you have kids, grandkids, they will tell you, they will remind you because they remember stuff like that. They may not remember to take out the trash or the garbage or, do stuff or do the dishes, but they will remember what you said you were going to do about your habits. They'll remind you. So get you an accountability partner who can hold you accountable to who you say you want to become. So we talked about your reasons why in the beginning, right? We talked about what is your reason, what is going to pull you up out of the bed or make you really adhere to your goals. Now, that is, you really have to dig deep as to what you really, really want. So we talked a bit about linear goals, those goals that say, I want to save this amount of money, I want to lose 10 pounds, I want to save, $20, whatever. And we can sometimes get off base with that or get off track with that. What I have learned is that my why has nothing really to do with that particular outcome, but what I get to do because of it, right? So what was really important to me is that I stay active for my grandkids and that I'm around to possibly see some great grandchildren, right? That's important for me. So longevity is important for me. So in order to be here for a long time is okay. So we can't control everything, but from what I can control, I'm going to do something positive in that arena. So I'm going to be mindful of what I'm consuming, and that consumption can be, mentally, physically, what I eat, all that, what I'm consuming. It means that I have to get active, right, or maintain activity, and do those things that will contribute to me being healthy for a longer time, right? So, and that's enough for me. That's enough for me to look at, a brownie that I haven't made room for in my schedule, right? So that's enough for me to say, okay, what's more important to me? My grandbabies or this brownie, right? That's the sort of thing you should be asking yourself when you are trying to figure out what it is that is really, really important to you. Now, I have an exercise that I can take you through to really help you hone that down and really get to the core of what you really, really want. Because generally, if you try to do that on your own, what you think you want, you don't really want. So if you're interested in that, just please let me know, reach out to me. So that's it for tonight. That's the homework I want you to be working on. You can do that for actually, because of what we're going to do tomorrow with this write it portion, do that for your lowest 3 scores, your lowest 3 areas. Go ahead and write it out for those lowest 3 areas. Write it out so that you can put it up somewhere. So it's somewhere where you can see it. Don't write it in a notebook and then just leave it there. If you write it in a notebook, rewrite it and put it somewhere where you can see it, okay? Even if you have to laminate it, put it in your purse, whatever. But something that keeps it fresh and something that you'll see quite often, okay? Preferably every day. All right, guys, I thank you. I appreciate you for being here. And I will see you again on the next video. Enjoy. And remember, if you have any questions, please write the questions in on T Strong Speaks. I will post up the replay there in the event, and you can ask any questions up under that video so I know what we're talking about. We have one more day. So please get your friends, family, whoever is important to you, and invite them along the journey with you. And remember, these will be up and available for the free $99 until the end of the week, the end of the week. All right. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the night. And remember, be good to you so that you can be good to others. Bye. I did all that without being, stop the recording.